I don't get it. Every single time I do any sort of work over here, every time I film, it turns out like that. And then there's the other two, they're perfectly fine. But what happened? Like, man, okay. This is gonna be for another day, but this is a whole nother thing we're gonna be adding to the car, so. Okay, well, I'm going to finally continue the project of installing this Airlift kit. So a little bit of time has gone by. It would be really cool, since I have all of today, to actually get the Airlift suspension installed completely. Now, granted, we did run into an issue with the lateral arms, the lower lateral arms. So basically, there's spacers on both sides that attach to, honestly, I don't really know what it's called, but there's a piece in the very back that's connected to the very farthest link that holds the lateral link, or lower control arm, which some people would like to call it when it's really not. It's a lateral link. Just for some reason, there's supposed to be spacers that come with it, and they were missing when I got them. So probably gonna have to go to Tacoma Screw and have them make some for me. But instead of waiting for that and going and doing that and wasting time today when I could still install the suspension, I'm gonna put the stock lateral arms back on, which would be those little babies right there, the black ones. Obviously you can see how much nicer the newer ones will be, but we're gonna put those ones back on the car and be able to install the rear struts of the air suspension. I'm hoping I'm gonna run lines, and then hopefully, if I'm not too lazy, I'm gonna run the wiring all the way forward, and then we can actually set this thing on the ground and be good to go. Front ones are already inside. The calipers are all painted up and done, and gotta start running the hoses all the way down through. And oh, you know, also, so I have a lot of air hoses that are in here. I didn't even see those ones, so I'm gonna have to do it again. But this right here is the air hose. Now, granted, it is not the air hose in which that came with the kit. I did a little extra for protection. So instead of trying to run these on the interior, which from what I've heard is a major pain in the ass, I'm gonna run it underneath the car like pretty much everybody else does. But to protect it, because these are, be honest, like they're strong, but I feel like they would, if they heat up and cool down, they're gonna be like almost like air hoses that you find in like an Audi, in which they'll crack and break, and then you lose pressure, and then all of a sudden you're sitting on the ground and you're on the freeway. I don't want that. So I got these are called cable covers, and they are made for like cable running for a computer. So I just kind of wrapped them around here. It's pretty high quality, pretty rough. If anything scratches against it, it won't cut into it. Like a knight in armor. It does some really good work for it. So excited to see what it will do and what it'll look like. And plus it'll make it a lot easier for me to identify which line and where the hose is later on if I ever need to swap it out and want to go with a bigger hose. Alright, so the passenger side is actually done. The whole thing is in, as you can see here, and I should have moved the light over here as well, but basically on that control arm, you see those 3 bolts there, and then there's one down in the very back. Like right back there. Now you can see it. Well, if it focuses. Okay, either way, in the center of the screen you can see there. The far back one goes to the chassis. That secondary one right there goes to the sway bar. That one goes to your suspension or your strut. And then this one attaches to basically the entire upright, which holds the wheel hub. So my recommendation, so this bolt that attaches to the entire upright right here, the little hole that you kind of slide the stud through to attach that bar to it, it actually moves around. It has a nice little bearing and wiggle room. Now mine had been canted a little bit upwards, so whenever I put this bolt in there and it was super high up at the time, it was kind of at an angle. So I had a pain in my ass just trying to get this bolt into that hole to get it lined up. So I thought maybe that this was curved a different way and I need to switch them out. Turns out no, I just put a screwdriver in there and moved it around, wiggled it to the alignment that I needed to get the bolt in. So if you run into that problem, I highly doubt you will, because I don't know why I'm an idiot, but you know, trial and error if you don't do any research at all and you're just kind of winging it. In order that I would do, the sway bar moves quite a bit. I would do the one that attaches to the chassis, and then I would do the one that attaches to the sway bar. I would skip over to the actual hub mounts and get a friend to help you. That was a bitch getting this installed. I did it by myself. I don't recommend it because I kind of pulled it up through with the dampening adjustment, and that's not a good idea. But I did what I could just to see in trial and error. If I fucked up, then you guys know. But then you do the suspension last, because then you can use a nice little jack to lift this piece up and line it up for that one, and it makes it really easy. So that suspension is in. I'm gonna start on the other side, but after that we'll get to the air. I don't know why nobody on YouTube wants to talk about this, but for a how-to, but underneath, right there in the center, you see where the there's a little plug there. That's where we're gonna run all of our air lines, all the way from the front all the way back. Up into that hole, and then it'll be coming out from the bottom of the trunk setup to get into the air management system, which attaches to the tank. That little plug right there is your key. So it's been a process. I think that literally took me like an hour and a half to do, and that was with a ton of trial and error, so it should be super easy for you guys, because I work really slow. I'm meticulous. I don't want to fuck anything up. I want to make sure that we're good to go. I'm not mechanically inclined like whatsoever, to a point, compared to a lot of people that work on their cars and make something like what I'm planning. Everything I'm doing is a first time try, and hopefully it works out. I hope this encourages some of you guys to really try and work on your own stuff, and if you have the opportunity to, if you find a garage, you have the tools and everything like that. It's a lot of fun to learn, and when you learn, everything's so easy once it's done. So but let me get that whole thing done, and then I'll start running hoses and give you guys an update. I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, so Klaus came over, didn't even get him on film. We were just kind of knocking shit out, trying to get it as done as possible. Basically, everything on the car is pretty much done. The only thing that we have not done yet is going to be the wiring. We ran the wiring all the way through, so it's all nice and shiny and hidden, and looks like it's professionally done. So the only thing we actually have left here is going to be the actual wiring. So we actually have, this is going to be going to our fuse box, so we can actually turn it on or have it working the entire time the car is on. And then this will be the power. We're just going to splice these and then connect them directly into the battery terminal, so they all have power. Besides that, I was able to run all the hoses to both sides of the car underneath. I linked in everything. Can't even set up my compressor or finish it today because I got to go get another connection, the compressor. But you guys can see, it's not pretty. I took out the trunk setup and everything like that because I just wanted to get everything hard lined in. I have all the power lines running underneath and through the side of the car, underneath pretty much the entire floor mat. I took all of that out and all the trim pieces and put it all back together so it looks super clean, but not in the trunk here. So all the air lines are hooked up and ready to go. And then setting up the electrical, the grounds where everything needs to connect to. As soon as I make this look all pretty, it'll be good to go and it'll be done. Oh, I might as well show you guys the back seat's still out. It's still sitting right there, but that's with the seat up. But I ran it underneath the seat and behind the trim here and underneath all of this, so you can't even see it. Like, it's a little loose, but not enough to really tell because you're gonna have a seat cushion on this. You're gonna be pressing it down, so this won't even move. Behind this trim piece here, which kind of comes up, I removed the weather strippings because it was just easier to get to. So I recommend just pushing it through underneath the back seat here on the driver's side, and then you can kind of see, the wiring right here a little bit if I had a flashlight for you. And it just goes underneath this, and then to the front, you guys won't be able to see anything because that's how badly I was trying to make sure that this actually looked decent. It goes underneath here, and then I lifted up this carpeting and slid all the wiring underneath the carpeting, and then it kind of comes back across, and that's where you can kind of start seeing the first one. This is the main power cable, which ran up. I used 3M double-sided tape, just kind of keep it where it's at. It's very low profile, so it's no big deal. And then it kind of goes up into here. I removed this. Just need a flathead to just pop it out real quick, and then you can get to the fender. I unbolted that and then put in the wiring through the top here and the bottom, kind of compress it so it stays where I need it to stay. And then from there, it's just a straight shot into the engine bay, which I'll get back to in a second. And then there's a secondary, which is where the controller is gonna be. And all you have to do is take a screwdriver, preferably like right around this area. You can just pop it right out. There's a screw right here, you unscrew it, and then you can just take this entire console right here and just pull it out. And then underneath down here, when you remove this trim piece, again, these all just kind of pop off. You can pop this off, take that wiring and move it up into here and zip tie a bunch because you're gonna have a lot of extra, and then kind of just set it in there and run your wiring out through this side. Push this back up, it closes. I'm gonna get a little magnet thing for this so I can have it sit right here, and then you kind of put everything back together, put the weather stripping back on, put this back on, put this on, and covers up everything, and you're gonna have your wiring going that way. And then it's gonna look like nothing ever changed, and you're just gonna have a random fucking controller coming out of your dash. And then I took off this cover. It's just like 3 pop clips, I believe. There's 2. There's probably another one, but I don't put them all back when I take this car apart. And it just ran from the inside here. So it's all the wiring is running back behind here, and then there's an opening. And these are the 2 wires that are left. This one will go right here to the battery. And then this one will be attached to what I'm assuming one of the other like fuses or something like that in there, which will go to the ignition fuse as like a secondary, and get heat shrunk and cleaned up a little bit. I know it's going to be a little bit of pain because I have so many wires that are already running into this battery for the custom headlights that we did, and then also all that wiring for the front bumper lights, which will be kind of pointless here in a bit. That is about it, I think, as far as all the work we did. I mean, I'm not going to get underneath the car and show you the airlines being ran, because you just get creative with it. Make up your own thing. Do whatever works for you. That's the best options I can give you. Try to avoid axles. Nothing's going to spin, nothing's going to come up and pinch. Push that airline right off the struts directly into the body, instead of letting them dangle or go back or forward, because you're going to have a wheel there and you don't want anything rubbing against it to where eventually a braided line or a regular hose is going to get completely messed up. Next thing to do is get somebody over here, help me out with electrical, get some new AIM fittings, get some new fittings for the adjustable lateral links I was supposed to have on here, and I can just swap those out. And then get this thing going. As soon as I know it's all working, I test it out and we're good, then I'll start putting back the trunk setup together. It's a 2-day process so far, so keep that in mind. It's very doable, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Just kind of go with it and you'll figure it out. It just takes some time and some patience, but hopefully this helps you guys out. If you guys do watch this video, I know it's not hands-on, it's not visual, but hopefully what I explained to you is there, and feel free to ask questions in the comments and I'll be able to answer you, because this channel is not going to be huge for a very long time. So if you have any questions or comments, I will reply and try to help you guys out, or find me at gt.subi on Instagram and just shoot me a message if you have any questions, and I'll do what I can to answer them. I don't know everything, but I've definitely gone through pretty much everything so far as of right now. I appreciate you guys watching. Part 3 is definitely going to be coming up here very soon. As soon as I do, it's going to be basically the finishing touches, getting this thing up in the air. And I have great news. I have 4 things in the mail that are on the way. I am so excited to get this car finally to the level that I actually wanted it to be last year. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. Part 3 is coming up. Stay humble. I love you guys.